Alright, hi guys. So my husband and I actually just went on a trip to Boston, Massachusetts, which is a place that I thought I had been to, but it turns out I had not. When I was really little, we did a lot of traveling, so even if I had been there before, totally doesn't count, but it's fine. But while I was there, I found this little plant shop called Niche. I might link it or mention it in like the comments below. We'll kind of see how embarrassing this video is and if I want them to be able to find it. The biggest thing that I latched onto when I was in there were, one, there was the second Monstera deliciosa that's bigger than what I have that I've ever seen in my life. And they also had a bunch of, well, not a bunch, they had like one small, at least one relatively small variegated, sorry, just making sure my puppy's still in the yard. They had a relatively small variegated Ficus elastica, or rubber tree plant kind of thing. I have a burgundy one and I really love the variegated leaf ones. Again, that was the first one I'd seen in person. So it was super exciting and I really wanted to get one to bring home, but it was, I mean, the pot was like 4 inches. It wasn't very big, but the excuse me, plant itself had like one branch that was about this tall. And so since we flew, I really was not sure about getting it on the airplane. I'm not super familiar with flying. I kind of hate flying, honestly. So I just wasn't sure how that would go. But the owner of the shop was there both times I was. Of course, I went more than once. And she was really helpful in helping me find a plant that would not be kicked off the airplane. So I ended up getting this little Peperomia. It's a whole Peperomia. You can see in a couple spots, like basically I had it in a box that was full of tissue paper and some tissue paper was on top, and I had that all in my backpack. And of course when I went through security, which is totally fine, I figured they would, but they opened up my backpack to see, and when the guy unpacked it, he told me he would let me like cover it back up so he wouldn't break it, but then he like shoved all the tissue paper in the top of the box. I mean, he was really sweet, he didn't mean to, but a couple, oh gosh, a couple of the little branches broke. You can see like one right there. I need to look up how to propagate this guy so that hopefully the little branch won't go completely to waste. I don't think it's long enough to be able to do it right, but I'd rather try if I can, maybe. I'm also a little torn because I don't want to cut it if there's a chance it might survive all right, so we'll see. But she said it's a pretty hardy little plant. It did a pretty good job on the airplane. It sat on its side in that box because I just kind of stuffed it under the seat because I was too busy panicking about being on an airplane to think about much else. So this is my fun little souvenir from Boston. Since he had such a traumatic flight, I'm gonna wait a little bit before I repot him. Just gonna let him get over the shock of that whole debacle before I start messing with his roots and everything. The other cool thing about being in this shop, my dog's so good. The other good thing about being in this shop was that everything you can kind of see here was labeled super well. I'm gonna come up a little closer. And again, if you go to Boston, there's the Cambridge location and a like, we were in the South End area, so it was like half a mile from my hotel, dangerously close. You should go. Anyway though, they were labeled super well. They had the name, care tips and everything, which was exciting because I saw some of the plants that I have that I didn't know what were, because I had got them at Lowe's and Home Depot or whatever, where the tag ever so helpfully says like houseplant or whatever lame garbage they come up with. So this was one that I looked because it caught my eye. It's like, oh hey, it's that plant that I don't know what is. And it is actually also a Peperomia. It's a Peperomia, I just looked this up before I started this. Peperomia Okay, it's Peperomia obtusifolia. obtusifolia. Peperomia, obfuse, something like that. It's a pretty common type from what I've heard. But I mean, to look at it, I guess the leaves kind of have a similar shape, but I would never have thought they were related. And it turns out, if you, again, watch my first video, I had mentioned that there was this little stick coming up that I didn't know what it was. And it turns out it was a little flower stem kind of thing. It would have been covered in white flowers if I had known what to do with it. So if that happens again, I'm gonna have to, I don't know, have a better close-up of the, oh, come on. So the last thing was there were also a few of these guys that I learned are pilea plants.
No, they're actually another kind of peperomia. They are a burgundy ruffle peperomia. So, sorry about that.
And the information on the tag mentioned that they need to be watered a lot, which I was misinformed about. It also mentioned that you might have to repot them a lot. So that is what I'm going to do today. So I'm just going to take mostly some cactus mix and perlite, a little bit of regular potting mix just for some extra nutrients, and pot him in this little guy. So that'll pretty much be it for today, but I just wanted to gush about this little flower shop that I found, and I don't know, I guess kind of go from there. All right, here is my little burgundy pilea pretty dude, all potted up in a nice bigger pot. I'm gonna water him in here in a minute. Try to keep him moist at, oh, terrible word, as the little card at Niche said to do. And then I'm really looking forward to seeing how well he does. Getting my little peperomia potted up. Also, hold on, this is super important. I totally forgot to mention this and it just made my day. So I went and got this guy. Well, my husband was at a conference in Boston, so he was not shopping with me. I had joked about finding a plant shop in Boston, and I don't think he thought I was serious. But when I came back with it, I was telling him, like I showed it to him, and I was telling him about finding the other plants and learning what some of my plants are and everything. And I said, you know, I told him where this peperomia was in the house, and said, yeah, they're both the same, like from the same family of plants. They're both peperomias. And my dear, he's so smart. And he's not wrong. But his response was, oh, peperomia, is that because their leaves are shaped like pepperoni? And it made me grin. So now I've shared it with you, and I will never forget what these are called, because they're peperomia with pepperoni leaves. So whenever this guy has a chance to kind of decompress from the flight, I'm probably going to let him go through a watering cycle or two, and then I'll see about getting him in his own pot that I'm sure he'll like a little better because it'll be more breathable, and we'll just go from there. And I will be eternally heartbroken that we don't have a store like Niche where I'm from, but maybe one day, you know? So yeah, thanks.